Welcome to Minghui Radio's Falun Gong News, direct from China and around the world. Topics include news about the persecution of Falun Gong in China, local events, and special items of interest. Now for this week's stories.
USA. Falun Dafa practitioners held an event in Las Vegas, Nevada on April 18th to commemorate a peaceful appeal that took place in Beijing on April 25, 1999. 27 years ago, after dozens of practitioners were arrested in Tianjin, about 10,000 practitioners gathered near the State Petition Office in Beijing on April 25th to request their release. The issue was peacefully resolved by Zhu Rongji, who was the premier at the time. 3 months later, CCP leader Jiang Zemin launched a nationwide persecution of Falun Dafa that remains in place today. The mistreatment ranges from illegal abduction, torture, forced labor, psychiatric abuse, and death. It includes live organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience, primarily Falun Dafa practitioners, according to an independent investigation published by the China Tribunal. Passersby learned details about the crimes and signed petitions against it. A practitioner named Mr. Zhang recalled that when he was 17, he went to Beijing to appeal for Falun Gong and was arrested and beaten. He said, "Please don't be fooled by the totalitarian regime's propaganda. It harms Chinese people and is endangering the world."
USA, an online forum called Just Security, offers expert analysis on U.S. national security, law, and human rights. On April 14th, Harold Hongju Ko, Sterling Professor of International Law and a former Dean of Yale Law School, published an article there titled "Cisco's Real Stakes: Digitally Aiding and Abetting." It provided an in-depth analysis of the issue of whether the technology company Cisco can be held accountable for building a surveillance system in China to aid the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners. The article focuses on a case brought against Cisco systems that will be heard by the U.S. Supreme Court on April 28th. The case was filed by Falun Gong practitioners who accused Cisco of aiding and abetting torture by developing and maintaining the Chinese regime's Golden Shield surveillance system with the knowledge that it was being used to identify, track, and arrest Falun Gong practitioners. The professor said, "Discouraging technology companies from actively enabling such repression will be key to the future of human liberties, not just abroad, but here in the U.S. as well."
United Kingdom. The UK Minister of State for Security, Dan Jarvis, sent a written response to Lord Alton, a concerned member of the House of Lords, on April 15th, regarding an incident in which a Falun Gong practitioner was attacked by a tour bus driver at a site outside the British Museum, where practitioners have a permit to tell people about the persecution in China. Mr. Jarvis said in his letter, Falun Gong practitioners, like all communities in the UK, are entitled to practice their beliefs peacefully and without fear. The tour bus company from Ireland had Chinese connections. The CCP uses various means to infiltrate and intimidate Falun Gong practitioners overseas, including bribing overseas media and infiltrating tour bus companies. The London police have officially opened a criminal investigation into the case. The UK Falun Dafa Association received letters expressing concern about the issue from several members of Parliament. The parliamentarians said that any attempt on the part of a foreign government to harass, intimidate, or harm individuals or groups in the UK will not be tolerated.
New Zealand. A rally was held on April 16th at Commercial Bay in the city of Auckland to commemorate the 27th anniversary of the April 25th peaceful appeal in China. The Tianguo marching band performed and practitioners did the Falun Dafa exercises in the city center, garnering much attention. Banners with messages about the practice and the persecution in China were displayed during the activities. 3 practitioners at the rally also spoke about their personal experiences at the peaceful appeal that was held in Beijing in 1999. Event attendees signed a petition of support. A passerby named Doogie pointed out that, in reality, many people neglect the severity of the situation because it takes place far away. He said, "When these things don't happen every day in front of your eyes, people often neglect it. But in fact, this has global impact." He thinks it is important to bring the truth to the public and expressed admiration for practitioners' persistence in resisting the persecution peacefully. Doogie added, "This makes me proud as a human. You face tremendous pressure, yet you continue to step out. This itself is a kind of power."
USA. Falun Gong practitioners held a photo exhibit outside the San Francisco City Hall on April 21st to commemorate the 1999 peaceful appeal in Beijing and to expose the ongoing persecution. 80-year-old Mr. Fong held a banner during the event. He recounted his memories of participating in the appeal in 1999. He said the peaceful gathering of 10,000 practitioners at the appeals office in Beijing on April 25, 1999, impressed people both in China and overseas. A peaceful appeal also took place in Shenyang Province, northeast China. Mr. Fong said that after practitioners in Tianjin were illegally arrested, practitioners throughout China went to their local governments to request the release of the practitioners who'd been arrested in Tianjin. He said there were many practitioners outside the Shenyang government office. It was impossible to count how many. He added that it was similar to what went on in Beijing. It was peaceful and orderly. When the practitioners in Shenyang learned the problem was resolved in Beijing, they quickly and quietly dispersed.
Canada. Falun Dafa practitioners held awareness-raising activities in downtown Montreal on the weekends of April 4th and April 11th. They told people how the CCP brutally persecutes practitioners in China and has extended this suppression overseas. Many people expressed their support at the events. Practitioners held banners near Place Day festivals, some bearing the messages, "Falun Dafa is good. The world needs truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. Stop the CCP's organ harvesting from living practitioners. Stop the CCP's transnational repression. And only by disintegrating the CCP can the persecution be stopped." The eye-catching banners and peaceful scene attracted the attention of passers-by. University student Nina Ayotmir was deeply moved after learning about the persecution of Falun Dafa in China. She said she knew that the Uyghurs were being persecuted by the CCP, but she didn't know that Falun Dafa practitioners were the primary victims of forced organ harvesting. She said, "Everyone should stand up and resist these crimes." She thanked the practitioners for exposing these human rights violations and said, "People should know this and let the voice against it gather into a greater force."
Taiwan. Practitioners gathered at the Taipei City Hall Plaza on April 19th to commemorate the April 25th appeal in Beijing 27 years ago and to tell people about Falun Gong. The weather in Taipei was beautiful the day of the event. The large gathering, press conference, and exercise demonstration attracted many passers-by. Elected officials spoke during the event and praised the practitioners' courage and perseverance in upholding their faith. Councillor Chung Man-kit said that the CCP's persecution, threats, and intimidation are unacceptable. She said the word peace seems simple, but it is very difficult to truly practice. It requires leading the public to move forward together in order to form a positive force. She added, "We welcome friends in Taiwan to offer encouragement to extend this positive force to the whole world."
The following are selected cases of persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China. A 55-year-old man in Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region died on April 13th 1 month before his 5-year prison term for practicing Falun Gong was set to end. The prison cremated Mr. Yo Haijun's body on April 19th after forcing his daughter to sign a consent form. The prison authorities claim that Mr. Yo died of natural causes. His daughter suspects foul play after watching the surveillance video and given the prison's notoriety for abusing jailed Falun Gong practitioners. On the day of his death, Mr. Yo was seen eating lunch with other inmates. One of them took away his bowl and walked out of sight of the camera. About 8 minutes later, the inmate returned and gave the bowl back to Mr. Yo. He then finished the bowl. Mr. Yo died around 3 o'clock that afternoon. Mr. Yo's daughter hasn't told her grandmother, who is nearly 80, about his passing yet. The older woman has lived in fear the past 2 decades, with her son repeatedly targeted for his faith.
A 72-year-old man in Jiangsu province continues to be detained following his arrest in March because he practices Falun Gong. Mr. Cao Fulin and Ms. Zhang Shoufan were distributing informational materials about Falun Gong at a supermarket. They were recorded by the store's surveillance cameras and reported to the police by someone who was assigned to follow them. Ms. Zhang was arrested and released the next day. She is still under close surveillance. Mr. Cao's family have lost contact with him, and his neighbor reported seeing the police raid his home the next day. The authorities have not notified Mr. Cao's family of where he was detained or the status of his case. The family think he may have been taken to a brainwashing center. Mr. Cao previously served 2 5-year prison terms in 2010 and 2020. His wife was forced to divorce him, and their son did not dare contact him.
A 67-year-old man in Liaoning province is facing trial for his faith in Falun Gong. Mr. Fan Wei took up Falun Gong in 2018 and recovered from stroke complications. His good health enabled him to care for his incapacitated wife, who also struggles with the after effects of a stroke. Having had a positive experience with Falun Gong, Mr. Fan worked hard to inform the public that Falun Gong was nothing like what was being depicted in the communist regime's hate propaganda. He was arrested last year after a retired political staffer reported him for putting up self-adhesive stickers bearing Falun Gong messages. Police raided his home and confiscated his Falun Gong books and informational materials. Mr. Fan is currently held at the local detention center. His family went to the police station many times to seek his release, but to no avail. Prior to his latest persecution episode, Mr. Fan was sentenced to 3 years.
Mr. Yang Jiahua, who lives in Hebei province, was sent to prison on April 16th to serve a 1.5-year term because he practices Falun Gong. The reason for his sentence stems from street surveillance cameras recording someone putting up Falun Gong posters and riding a motorcycle. The police identified the man as Mr. Yang by searching the motorcycle's license plate registration record. Officers went to Mr. Yang's home to arrest him, but he was not there. They searched his home and confiscated his Falun Gong books. They also took his wife and son into custody. Mr. Yang was later tricked into going to the police station and was arrested as soon as he arrived. His wife and son were later released. In court, Mr. Yang's lawyer defended his innocence as no law in China criminalizes Falun Gong or bars its practitioners from spreading information about it. The judge quickly adjourned the session after going through the required procedure. He later sentenced Mr. Yang at an unknown time.
Parliamentary hearing in Canada exposes the CCP's transnational repression. The Canadian House of Commons Subcommittee on International Human Rights is currently studying the global impact of transnational repression. It held a hearing in the capital city of Ottawa on April 20th. The subcommittee invited representatives from international organizations, human rights organizations, and groups affected to report on the CCP's intimidation, surveillance, harassment, and disinformation. The hearing was broadcast online. University of Manitoba Professor Emeritus Dr. Maria Chung told members of Parliament that, for 27 years, the CCP has deployed a full spectrum of transnational repression tactics targeting the Falun Gong community in Canada, including disinformation, surveillance, intimidation, harassment, assault, political manipulation, pressure on groups and institutions within the community, cyber attacks, and threats to family members in China. A former high-level Chinese diplomat who has defected testified that persecuting Falun Gong is a formalized daily task for Chinese diplomatic missions worldwide. Dr. Chung said, "Prolonged disinformation has fostered indifference, eroded public support, and undermined Canada's ability to respond to serious human rights abuses in China and the repression occurring here on Canadian soil." The national coordinator of the Falun Dafa Association of Canada, Grace Wollensack, said, "Two leaked CCP documents reveal Xi Jinping directly ordered a new coordinated campaign, one that has escalated sharply over the past 2 years, combining disinformation, lawfare, and hoax bomb threats targeting Shenyun and Falun Gong." Ms. Wollensack reported that in Canada alone, 20 hoax bomb and shooting threats took place in 2 years, among over 270 violent threats worldwide. She quoted a threat received that stated, "If Shenyun dares to perform in March, something bad will happen to both Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney, and there will be a massive explosion on Parliament Hill." She said that the police deemed these threats non-credible, yet 6 performances at Toronto's Four Seasons Centre were cancelled. Ms. Wollensack said that the sender refers to the CCP as My Motherland's Communist Party, and the email's timestamps match China's Standard Time. The Vancouver Police Cybercrime Unit traced the sender's associated phone number directly to China. The sender went further to impersonate practitioners to send bomb threats to targets internationally, including to the White House and a theater in Tokyo. While answering questions from a member of Parliament, she advised, "Legitimate cultural performances within Canada should not be cancelled due to bogus threats. If we give in, we play right into the CCP's hands, encouraging them to continue and even escalate such tactics. If Canada cancels a performance without fully grasping the nature of foreign interference, it sends a dangerous signal, one that amounts to capitulating to the CCP." Ms. Wollensack urged the Canadian government to publicly condemn the CCP's interference campaign and make clear through diplomatic channels that intimidation of Canadian residents and institutions must end. She also called on security agencies to investigate these threats as coordinated foreign interference, pursue those responsible, and train frontline police to recognize transnational repression. In addition, she urged officials to quickly implement counter-foreign interference measures and pass legislation that explicitly criminalizes transnational repression as a distinct offense. Finally, she asked authorities to brief performing arts venues on handling foreign-linked hoax threats, and to ensure that, when no credible danger exists, Canadians' right to attend lawful performances is fully protected.
Rally in Australia commemorates April 25th peaceful appeal and condemns transnational repression. A rally was held on April 16th at Martin Place, Sydney's business and financial centre, to commemorate the 1999 peaceful appeal and to raise awareness of the CCP's threat to humanity. Many people listened to the Tianguo marching band and took photos. Practitioners demonstrated the exercises and set up a table to provide informational materials and collect signatures on a petition that calls for an end to the communist persecution. Witnesses of the 1999 peaceful protest were also at the rally, sharing their personal experiences, exposing the CCP's lies vilifying Falun Gong. Rally speakers praised the historic appeal, as well as practitioners' courage, rationality, and resilience over the past 27 years. They also spoke out against the CCP's transnational repression of Falun Gong and Shenyun performing arts. John Deller, Spokesman for the Australia Falun Dafa Association said, "We gather here today to raise awareness about what is happening to Falun Gong because it is emblematic of what Chinese citizens, Australians, and people controlled by the CCP in other countries are experiencing. When facing unspeakable evil, protecting those who uphold truthfulness, compassion, forbearance is protecting our own humanity." He warned Australian society the persecution of Falun Gong is not just China's issue or China's internal affairs. To Australia and other democratic countries, the challenge lies in speaking out courageously. For trading benefits or so-called national interest, staying silent on human rights atrocities is a dangerous policy. Professor David Flint, recipient of the Order of Australia and a senior legal scholar, praised Falun Gong for being a ray of light in the darkness, illuminating the world. He condemned the CCP's removal of Falun Gong practitioners' organs for huge profits and said, "We must uphold the truth and speak the truth." Rally speaker Lyle Shelton, National Director of the Family First Party, mentioned that earlier this year the Chinese consulate in Sydney and Melbourne warned the public not to watch Shenyun's performances. Mr. Shelton also spoke of bomb threats received by Shenyun during its Australia tour, which caused Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to evacuate his residence. Mr. Shelton called it a wake-up call for Australia. Bob Vinicombe, editor of China Impression Forum and a human rights advocate, praised Falun Gong practitioners at the rally for clarifying the facts and the courage to protest peacefully. Speaking about the CCP's evil and what it has to do with Australia, he explained why there are cheap products available from China. He said, "One reason is because in China many people are imprisoned for their faith or political views that don't align with the CCP, such as Falun Gong practitioners. They are forced into slave labor to make products, yet they don't receive any compensation. Therefore, these products are so cheap because the labor cost is zero." Many members of the public condemned the persecution. A woman named Rita Grasso said of the horrifying organ harvesting, "Such atrocities are horrifying. It makes me question how we can call ourselves a civilized society. It feels as though humanity has learned nothing from history. We have not changed. We are walking backward into the darkness, putting the shackles back on."
Dignitaries in Europe and the Americas share their experience of Shenyun. Shenyun's 8 touring companies presented 46 performances in 8 cities in the countries of Argentina, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, and the United States from April 6 to April 12th. Dr. Natasha Williams, Deputy Speaker for the New York City Council, saw Shenyun in New York City on April 12th. She presented a proclamation to the company congratulating Shenyun on their 20th anniversary. "The show was amazing," Council Member Williams said. In Canada, Member of Parliament Mark Dalton and his wife Marlene saw Shenyun in Vancouver on April 10th. He brought with him a proclamation honoring Shenyun's 20th year of successful performances. Colorado State Senator in the U.S., Ayman Joda, saw Shenyun in Denver on April 12th. She presented a tribute to the company on behalf of the Senate of the Colorado Legislature. She felt that the performance underscored the value of hope. Argentine National Deputy Gabriela Flores saw the show in Buenos Aires on April 9th and shared, "I really like how it captures the essence of the Chinese people, which is the same essence shared by all human beings. That is what connects all countries," she said. "It's so similar, isn't it? In every country, we human beings are one." Buenos Aires Provincial Representative Juan Jose Esper saw Shenyun in Buenos Aires on April 9th. He observed, "This is not merely a work of art or a form of physical expression. It has a very profound meaning. The advancement of technology, modernity, and now artificial intelligence are putting our entire value system into crisis, the very system that connects us as human beings." I believe that revaluing our connection with the spiritual realm is the only way to achieve peaceful coexistence, to find harmony in our relationships, and to recognize that others possess the same dignity as we do. Mr. Esper said he would definitely recommend the performance. George Agda, the mayor of Sigmaringen, Germany, saw Shen Yun in Fusen on April 11th. He called the performance wonderful and offered an insight. Our history and our traditions shape us. They are what we are rooted in. Cutting off the roots for a tree or any plant means the end, and it would be the same for humanity. That is why it is always important to know where we come from and where we are going in life. Former president of a Chamber of Commerce, Lu Dong, saw 2 consecutive Shen Yun performances in New York City on April 9th. He shared, "When you truly understand Shen Yun and feel Shen Yun's charm, you will have a feeling of seeing through the vanity of the mundane world and coming to sudden enlightenment. I feel that this joy is God's grace."
Thank you for listening to the Minghui Radio Podcast. For more information, including news about the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China and experience sharing stories by practitioners around the world, please visit our website at en.minghui.org.